On this week's show, we're talking about all of the Game Awards nominees and some added drama sprinkled in. Cloud gaming has landed on the PlayStation Portal as Xbox finally lets you stream games that you own, and Sony's Circle Elden Ring developer for a major buyout. All that and much, much more on this week's GamerGuild Podcast. Good game, everyone, and welcome back to this week's GamerGuild Podcast, where you join myself, Chris, alongside my podcast player for the week, Mr. Richie.
Can you smell that, Chris? It's award season.
It's award season. I do smell it. As you join us for your weekly show, where we round up all the week's video game news for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/GamerGuild TV and available up there in the digital clouds on your podcast platform of choice. We've got a busy show. Lots to break down, lots to talk about. We're both here. It's Friday. We're recording a little bit early. I'm in a good mood, Richie. How are you feeling?
I'm in a pretty good mood.
We've got a nice weekend. We're going to be doing some drinking tomorrow.
Yep. It's my mum's birthday next week, but we're going out tomorrow, actually, night.
Happy birthday for next week, Richie's mum.
Yeah.
And
I think I'll finally finish the building work on my office this weekend.
So this could be the last podcast in that very room.
Depending on our recording schedule next week, this could be the last podcast I record here.
So you've done 438 in that room to date.
Yep.
Well, congratulations. And RIP, the old small office room. As we look forward.
So the mirror that was in the back of the shots that was there right the way, which is still there, will be no more.
The mirror dimension will follow you everywhere. Yeah. But we do have a great show lined up, Richie. Before we get into it, of course, don't forget to like everyone, subscribe, ring that bell so you're kept in the loop with all the great content we do here, like our weekly live streams, our sometimes retro look back, our unboxing videos that sometimes go up, our shorts, and all of the great stuff we do here on the channel. And you'll miss out if you don't like, subscribe, and all that jazz. So do please help us out. We are a mere 23 subs away from the 2,000 mark, which we aim to get to by the end of the year. We claw away there, we fall back a couple, we claw a little bit more, then we fall back a couple. So every one of you out there who does give us a follow, we do appreciate it. It does help us grow the channel and find new audiences, which we couldn't do without you, our wonderful audience, the fantastic guild heroes who support the channel that extra little bit further, who watch every week, whether you comment, you listen, you just check us out. We do appreciate it. Final warning, next week is the Black Friday week sale that we've been going on about for 4 weeks now. It's 30% off everything in the merch store, so if you're looking for some merch, like Richie is donning now, if you're looking for some Gamer Guild swag, hold out that little bit further, folks, that little bit further. You can pick up your t-shirts, your mugs, your hats, your winter warmers. Next week, 30% off. It's worth the wait, trust me. It's worth the wait. Richie, I mentioned weekly live streams. We've had a few go up, quite a lot. Is that a panda?
That is a panda in my GamerGuild mug.
A panda in your GamerGuild mug. How did it get in there? How does it fit? And did it taste nice?
It tasted nice, and you have to buy a GamerGuild mug to figure it out.
What does panda taste like, you think? What meat would panda be closest to?
That one tastes like a cappuccino, but...
in real life, what do you think? It's a bear? So I'd
swan?
Guess... Well, I don't know what swan tastes like, so that's a terrible... Like, do you think it's like a chicken meat, or a pork meat, or a beef? I feel like it would be quite steaky. Would have been a bear, like a big.
I think big
animal,
like a bear, quite gamey. Yeah, I don't know. Let us know in the comments if you've had tried panda.
Better than Panda Pops. The Panda Pops were good. But I digress. As I said, we've got a great show, plenty of content to talk about. There's quite a lot to get into before we go to the news because we've been playing a lot. My live stream for Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb went up this week for our viewers out there. Of course, members of the channel, Guild Heroes, you get it a little bit early. You've currently got Lego Indiana Jones to check out. That's going to stay up a week exclusively for you for early access. You can get the next episode drops daily on the lead up to Indiana Jones and the Great Circle next month. And this is the interesting one, Emperor's Tomb, Richie. I mentioned it last week, so I'm not going to go into it here, but this is the one that came out 2 years after Uncharted and the same summer as Uncharted 2. So it's well worth a watch and go check it out. There's some very frustrating moments in it. And me being in pain is always enjoyable to watch. It's great content. On top of that, we have an unboxing up on the channel. There's about an 11-minute unboxing of some special tech, Richie, which I know you're super jealous about. And it kind of makes me satisfied. which one irks you the most? Is it the fact that I have the beautiful 30th anniversary PlayStation Portal?
That is.
It is.
That's the cover on.
This is the sticker. So this is the sticker
Yeah.
during the unboxing. It confused the hell out of me because I thought it was turned on when I took it out of the box. But no, they just put a little. It's just a screen protector that I've stuck back on for this purpose. I have played with it. But yeah, that's one sexy beast. Absolutely delightful. And then of course there is the DualSense. Angelic sounds.
The one I'm jealous of the most, and this is purely down to how I'm typically gaming at the moment, is the Portal.
Ooh.
I use my Portal pretty much every single day at the moment. I took a brief break from using my Portal when I was playing Echoes of Wisdom. And then since then it's been Portal all the way. That's typically how I play games nowadays.
Portal all the way.
It might change actually once my office has moved, but to be honest, I kind of like sitting on the couch. My girlfriend she's playing Dragon Age at the moment, and I'm on the Portal playing Metaphor. It's pretty good.
It's working.
I like it.
And of course, we've got some great news this week that actually elevates the Portal to somewhere which we've desired since it launched, and we've both thoroughly enjoyed using the device prior to this announcement. So we'll get into that when we get into the news. But yeah, came this week. I was a proper giddy boy, giddy as a schoolboy on Thursday when it arrived. It was like dispatched. I know that they took the money for it like earlier last week, so I knew it was coming. And then it's just that, when like your delivery's been dispatched, it's close. And I was working from home and I was thinking, oh, it's getting close. And then it arrives. It's like, damn it, now I have to set up for an unboxing, which takes like a further 30, 40 minutes to get the camera rig ready and stuff because it's so clunky. I tend to record the unboxing element from a rig above me to get like the downward shot on the table, but then I still need this set up here to record my face, and then you got to edit it all together. It's a lot more arduous than just doing a podcast and sitting and talking for an hour or so.
We don't have the resources to give you two cameras.
No, it's
to do like a dual camera setup to get one looking down, one looking at you, and then just like pick whichever footage you want.
I did edit the new feature for the Portal. I recorded some footage of the new feature in practice, but it was just the angle. You kept getting my reflection. The lighting wasn't great. You couldn't see the picture quality, and it was like, it's not worth keeping. But yes, so there is a 30th anniversary unboxing of all that great tech there ready to go. I do go into detail. There was some cool features that came with it, Richie. The main one was the pattern inside the box, because the packaging was another delight to behold, which gone with the original PlayStation black and yellow box. But inside there, this beautiful pattern on the cardboard that was basically every PlayStation device, like a little outline of the item, even down to like the Pro Duo memory cards for the PSP and the PlayStation Pocket from Japan in like 1998 or something. So we went really hard on just like nostalgia for the whole 30-year PlayStation celebration. But yeah, I'm absolutely delighted. And I'm selling my other Portal now, my white one. And I had a lovely interaction with someone on Facebook Marketplace this week. I've got it up for $170. So it's quite high for a year-old device, but I feel like the demand is there when you look on Facebook and other marketplaces. It sits around the 160, 170, 180 mark. And I had that typical interaction where it was, is this still for sale? I was like, yes, this item is still available. What's the lowest you'll take for it?
170.
My response, the marked price. You can get it from CX for 160.
Got CX.
Looked on CX, 190. If you want like a lower grade quality one, like I'm guessing slightly damaged or something, you're looking 175. So I was like, okay. And she was like,
I think my answer would always just be got CX then.
She was like, does it have warranty? I was like, it's just past the 1 year manufacturer's warranty, so doubtful. And then she was like,
I'm not providing one.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know what she wanted from me, but it was like typical funny interaction. I was like, well, that's the 170. And it comes with a case as well. I've got like a case for it. So it was like, that's probably an additional 10 to 15. So I was like, you're getting that. It's immaculate. I've got the original packaging. It's not got a scratch on it. And then she was like, oh, I'm going to buy one now from CX. I was like, okay, like, why you asked me about this? Yeah. You started this dialogue. So yeah, it's there. But I'll hopefully sell it at some point. But no rush. It's one of the things where I'm in no rush to sell it. So, when people are trying to barter and get you down, you think, I'm in no rush, so this is on you. If you want it, come and get it.
I'm not desperate for the cash, so I can just sit on this for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I am desperate for the cash, but that's besides the point.
To be fair, you're selling it probably the right time of the year as well, on the run up to Christmas. If stocks start getting low, someone's looking for a maybe discount.
And
I always think it's weird as well when someone goes to you, what's the lowest you take for it? It's like, just make a fucking offer if you're in the low ball.
There's a distinct price there for a very good reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically there. But yeah, I'm thinking with the news of this week, it might also drive demand up a lot more. I've seen a lot of news outlets like hyped over this week's news, and we'll get into all that. One of the things I did want to mention, though, while we are on the subject of the 30th anniversary, there's someone in our chat today, Richie. I don't know if you noticed. They did manage to pick up one of the controllers. It was our good friend Lee from our Discord server.
Yeah.
Vinlo Lee Ellis. Stop doing that with your controller, Lee. He's apparently charging it. What was the exact line, Richie? Let me see. Yes, they did. My 30th anniversary DualSense is now perched comfortably on my dick charger, probably never to be used as I prefer the Edge. So however you get off, Lee, however you edge yourself, just don't use your 30th anniversary controller for that type of pleasure. We know it vibrates. Yeah. We know it's got all the haptic feedback. That is not the intended purpose by Sony PlayStation, but... Yes. Our Discord...
Congratulations on the dick charger as well.
Yeah, congratulations. Of course, our Discord server, wonderful place, fantastic community. Only jokingly, of course, only joking. You do whatever you want with your DualSense.
I was admiring this GamerGuild mouse mat, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I noticed it.
You noticed it. Shout out to the merch store. 30% next week. Anyway, Richie, that's enough about me and... amazing merchandise that I've seen loads of people online going like, I'm going to keep it boxed. I saw someone in America who literally bought it and just put it straight in the attic like storage room with all his other like merch. Like, are you looking at it in investment? Are you one of them weird people who buy stuff and then never plays with it? Like, don't buy a toy and don't play with it. Come on.
Come
on. Like, that's not the purpose. And not like Lee.
There's some stuff that are designed to do that with, like things like Funko Pops. They're designed to just
exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the boxing is part of the presentation of it.
Absolutely.
This is a thing to play with. Have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. But not like Lee. We stress. Not like Lee.
Yes.
Right, Richie, been playing plenty of games. I've been playing a ton of stuff because of the Portal and other reasons, but I want to just throw it over to you to break down how many hours you put into Metaphor.
It's hard to know because my actual save is about 16 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But because I have a bad habit because I always play my Portal, and I play in a different house to where my PlayStation actually is, I just tend to switch off the Portal, and then my PlayStation eventually goes into standby.
Oh, right, yeah, you just lock the screen and put it down.
That number's juice is probably closer to like 12 hours, I reckon.
Okay. So it's just another 78 to go then?
At least, yeah. It's going to take, it's going to take a long time. I feel like it's going to take a long time to get through. Mm-hmm. I haven't even finished the first dungeon. I'm only really scratching the surface of the mechanics.
Wow. But you're enjoying it?
Oh, yeah, very much so. It's basically Persona, everything I liked about the mechanics of Persona, but in a more traditional fantasy setting.
Nice. It's great. I'm hearing nothing but good things about it. And when we get into the Game Award conversation, it's up there with the rest. So great stuff. Anything else, or have you been busy doing other things?
Just busy doing other stuff, work and whatnot.
Lovely. Well, a couple of things I've been chipping away at. Black Ops 6, done a couple more missions in the campaign. Really enjoying the campaign. Enough so that I keep going back to it. So it's doing the right thing. Won't digress too much into that. Lego Horizon, got the platinum. I told you I would by this week's show, so that's there. Welcome to borrow it if you wish to as well. Because I have the physical version, so that's what we can do with disc. Don't know why I sang it, but we can.
You know what I've just thought of? When you're playing like a narrative game and it just goes... you will remember that. That just happened in my head about me.
I will remember that. So that's there. As I said, like 10, 15 hours. You and your girlfriend probably really enjoy it. I know she loves Lego games anyway. So finish that. That's done. I had a little dabble at Dino Crisis because it was up on PlayStation Plus Premium. Can't get over the tank controls. I did like 20, 30 minutes. I was like, this needs a remake. Capcom, come on. What you doing? It's just sat there right for the picking. So clunky and so old, but it did remind me of how scared I used to get playing it as a child when I should not have been playing that 18-rated game as like an 11-year-old. But I played it anyway.
I get that scared of tank controls myself as well.
They are terrifying by modern day standards. And then the final one, which I've dabbled a little bit in Vice City on the portal, but everyone knows what Vice City is, and it's part of the remaster update that fixed everything that was wrong with the trilogy remake. I picked up a device from Temu, Richie, which I thought you might be interested in. Whole side story. My wife wanted to get my daughter a Christmas calendar that was made of random rubber ducks. Every door has a different rubber duck inside it with a Christmas theme. I don't know. But I didn't want to pay the ridiculous price, so I thought I'll have a look at these other websites and see what I can find. It was a lot cheaper on there. But as with most things on Temu, you end up buying like 5 other things to get discounts to get the total. So I ended up with 5 items.
I've never used it.
I hadn't until this point, but I bought 5 things, including said duck calendar. And I got one of these.
Ooh, is that like an analog pocket?
Pretty much, yeah. It's got like loads of names online. There's like an Abernac thing, an RS36. This is the R363, but you'll see from the back it's just labelled game console.
Okay.
so it's what you can expect.
You bought a game console.
Game console. So it's got like it's got your Game Boy buttons. It's got your analog. Quite good material actually, and the buttons press okay.
Yeah, for anyone looking, it's in like the form factor of like a small, like an old style Game Boy, but it's got like the ABXY and 2 analog sticks as well.
Yeah, and then
is it translucent black?
Triggers. It is. Yeah, I got to pick the color. I was tempted to get the purple one, but that was my brother's, so I thought I'll get this one. That's more me.
Yeah.
But it's got a micro SD card in it that literally comes with audio
all games.
All games. Audio viewers. Apology, but it's got like all the Capcom collections. Don't know what that is. It's back to front. MMNE? I don't know. Never heard of it. Atari games. Basically, you go through the generations. Nintendo.
It's basically a handheld emulator.
Essentially, yeah. N64, Game Boy Color, and it just keeps going. DS. So there's like 8,000
cool.
8,000 games on this thing. The artwork's laid out really, really well, and there's basically just a micro SD card on the side that has everything loaded up onto it.
Do they actually work?
Yes. So this is what I was getting onto. Is what I've started. I've started Pokemon Crystal. Is that the gold and silver like compilation one?
Yeah. It's a second generation.
Yeah. So I've started that up. But just to give you an idea, let's go featured games. Just Super Mario Land. But the screen's gorgeous on it as well. So really, if my daughter was messing around with my old Game Boy the other day. And the screen on it still works, but it's like terribly not backlit, and it's like the same age as us, so it's ancient. And then this bad boy just comes along.
Might have to send me a link for that. Oh yes.
No.
Well, it was yes until you ran into.
But the screen's just like super bright. But yeah, I've done the first 2 hours of Pokemon, I think. Professor Elm, Professor Oak doing their usual thing, but yeah, it just functions. Got decent battery life. It just boots up from the menu, and
do they have triggers?
Yeah, it's got triggers on the back.
Yeah,
for the other games. But yeah, so like overall, it was just one of them where I thought I was looking at my Temu shopping and I was picking up like many other random items that I really didn't need, but they're there and you get them and you just go like, okay, yeah, I'll check this out. Why not? It might work. It might be worth it. And I end up getting this for like 15 quid mixed in with like the other things that I got out of it as well.
Send me a link. I'm going to have a look myself, actually.
So then just jumping around to a different quickly. Sorry, audio listeners, big apology, but
yeah. And
it just works.
You should never apologize for putting Sonic 2 music on.
But yeah, I'll die just as quick. But yeah, it's like the screen's like good enough for what I'm playing.
Press down. If you press down, you would have been fine.
And then just locks off, and it's USB-C as well. It's got an audio jack in the bottom.
It's got 2 USB-Cs.
Yeah, one of them's for DC, which is obviously charged. The other one's OTG. I'm guessing you maybe can plug a controller into it. Maybe. But either way, I've seen them online. They basically sound like the same thing that the pump out of China, and then they get caught out by copyright or whatever, and then they repurpose a different type of frame and resell it again. So this is like the 20th iteration.
Functions like any multiplayer.
I wouldn't put it that far. But that's the thing. So on that, I've been playing tons of like retro stuff and the stuff on the channel and what I've been doing. I've just been in a proper vein. When you don't have like a massive game you're committed to, like you are to Metaphor, it's surprising how much stuff you can just bounce around and just like, oh, little taste sample here, little taste sample here, etc., etc. But Richie, we'll probably have a live stream later this week. We have a very busy show to get into, though, so apologies for taking a while if you're here for just the news. I don't know why you would be here still if you were just here for the news. But Richie, we can't get into that until you introduce us to the
graciously gathered GamerGuild Gazette, a.k.a. The News.
The News. And of course, the news is always brought to you by our wonderful guild heroes, the fantastic members of the channel who support that extra little bit further, just like you can from as little as 99p. You get early access to this very show, stickers and badges next to your name in the chat, and early exclusive access to other things like Richie's playthroughs of Legend of Zelda, my Indiana Jones playthroughs, and a couple of things we like to sprinkle in there throughout the year. So thank you very much for the guild members. You're all legends in yourself. Right, Richie. Kickstarting things off. Busy week leading up to the Game Awards, which are in about 2 weeks' time. We do aim to watch it on the channel. It's Thursday night here in the UK. It goes right through till the Friday morning, very early Friday morning. So I think it doesn't actually technically start till 12:30 a.m. on the Friday morning. So you need to stay up late Thursday and see it through till about 4 o'clock in the morning. It tends to finish. Me and Richie usually get a couple of cheeky beers in. We usually watch it. We're basically watching it for all the new reveals, aren't we? We could get a new console reveal. We could get massive PlayStation titles. It's the one thing of the year where we usually get a decent surprise out of it. So we'll probably be watching Muppets? It. I hope so. I do like the Muppets showing up. Yeah. Remember that Muppet the other year who walked on the stage with the Elden Ring developers and just tried to talk on the microphone about Bill Clinton?
Yeah.
Like, what? Yeah, you get some crazy stuff like that. And Pepper the Prawn. But besides the point, we'll be talking about it. And the reason it's in the news this week is leading up to it, we've got the nominees. And there's quite a lot of controversy, however you want to say it, in the news with the Game Awards. But we'll get to it after me and Richie have broke down all of the categories. So, Richie, let's take us to the other studio where we have all the nominees. We won't go into every category because there's a lot, quite frankly. But then we'll summarise up with what the controversy is. And Richie, I've got all the categories up on my screen, as I'm sure you do as well. Where do you want to start with looking at these? Because there's quite a few. Of course, this show is predominantly trailers and adverts for new video games more than it is an actual show. But I think we'll save Game of the Year till the last, with it being the biggest one.
So I'm reading a Video Games Chronicle article. Do you want to just go on the order they've got it in, but save Game of the Year for last?
Yeah, I've got the visuals up for our YouTube viewers. So you just talk us through that list, and I'll try and find it on this grid that I'm working with.
So starting with Best Game Direction, then.
Best Game Direction.
Astrobot.
Yep.
I thought you were going to go do it.
You could go. Now I've got it up. Yep.
Yeah. Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor Refantasio.
Refantasio. You got to say it like that.
Refantasio.
Refantasio. We're not going to get into the controversy here, even though it's in the category. No. Any surprises there for Best Game Direction? Awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design.
Balatro is the standout for me because it's one that I've heard the name, but I've never seen, and I don't know what the game is. I know basically nothing about that game.
Okay, so Balatro's going
to... So that's why it's surprising in that sense.
It's going to come up a few times. I think the reason being, for those who don't know what Balatro is, it's essentially poker made into a roguelite.
Okay.
That's the snippet of it, and it's apparently addictive as fudge. So... it's just had a mobile release. I believe it's on the Switch as well. And everyone I've heard who's played, if you're into poker or you like card games, there's just the gameplay loop with it being a roguelike is apparently phenomenal. And it's just it's sucking everybody in who's into that kind of genre. So I'm surprised it's up here because it is quite a small indie game. They have dropped so much DLC for it, and because the DLC is basically just the back of the card is like a different image. So they've done partnerships with like bigger publishers to do like artwork on the back. It's just like skins for cards.
It is sitting at a 90 on Metacritic at the time of recording, so it's not that surprising. I feel like this is one of them sort of games where you can toss around the genres and try to talk people through what it is, but it feels like a game that you probably have to play to understand.
Yeah, and I don't like poker to start with, so that's why I've not even looked at it twice. I'm not good with numbers, everyone. Sorry.
I'm pleasantly surprised with how Metaphor being here, because it's brand new. It's only just come out the gate, and I feel like it could have been a hit or miss with Metaphor. It feels like it was getting marketed for a while, but wasn't really jumping out too much, and then it launched, and everyone goes, "Oh my god, this game's amazing!"
Yeah, I agree.
Which there was the previews that turned my head, because I was already interested because I like Atlas. So I am very much glad to see it here. I haven't played enough to really determine whether I think it's worthy of being in here, when like something like Echoes of Wisdom is missing.
Yeah.
But actually, for game direction, it depends how you define the category, doesn't it?
Well,
I think that's going to be a lot of these. Actually.
Yeah, well, it says creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. So, again, we should always stress with the Game Awards, like, we don't have the time or the luxury or the funds to play all of these. So a lot of it is very, very subjective. And a lot of it is probably from me and Richie covering the games industry every week on this show is what gives us the insight into this. So, like, I know about Balatro because I listen to so many podcasts that talk about it, and we read lots of stuff. Like when games release, we read the reviews and stuff, and we read previews. So we've got more insight, I'd like to think, than your average person. But by all means, it's all subjective and stuff.
Yeah.
What do you reckon then for this one? Who's going to take the winner for you?
I'd like to see Astrobot. But I don't know if Astrobot is best game direction. With it being, I don't want to use the words just a puzzle platformer, because that diminishes what the game is.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, as for me, this category is what has kind of elevated the genre. So it probably is Balatro, or maybe something like, or maybe Metaphor, because these games are kind of unique.
Yeah,
in the way you play them.
I think this one could go for Metaphor purely because it seems like it's the culmination of all the Persona games have crescendoed into this, and it has got such a distinct game, like, creative vision in the layout and the formats and the fonts and the color splashes that come in and the menus and everything. It's very, very distinct.
They've learned a lot through the various Persona games. Persona 5 blew up, and I think they've took that into Metaphor and went, okay, now we're going to tackle a different genre, but in our style of RPG.
Yeah.
They've got a unique style to how their RPGs function.
Yeah, I would agree
so
with that.
For me, it's probably either Balatro or Metaphor. I think Black Myth is only in there really because there's a large number of sales. Because when we were reading the reviews and stuff, it felt by kind of by the numbers really.
Yeah.
For its genre.
I agree. But we'll, again, cast your vote in the comments below. We will cover this more in detail. Probably we'll shout it out when the actual thing happens live. Let's go back to the other categories then. What's next up on your list?
Best narrative.
If you can also get, Richie, for our own benefit, maybe a list of the biggest games of the year, because I feel like there's stuff in this conversation that doesn't get into the categories that we'll naively miss out. So I feel like Dragon Age gets shafted a lot in a lot of these categories.
I think Dragon Age is a bit too late. I think that's the problem for it.
Well, surely Metaphor came out at the same time, right? It didn't miss the cutoff because it's in one of the categories.
Oh,
that's why I think it got shafted.
Maybe, yeah.
But again, we haven't played it, so I'm not too sure. Best narrative for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game. The nominees are Richie.
They are Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Metaphor ReFantazio, Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2.
So this is another conversation on top of the DLC conversation we'll get into controversy-wise. Where do you sit? I know we have this conversation every year. Where do you sit with, like, remakes getting into this? Because, like, Silent Hill 2 won loads of plaudits. Team Bloober, congratulations. Best narrative when the predominant part of the story is based on an older game. There's nothing new here. It's like me republishing a book and going, can I get novel of the year, when it's just the same story tweaked ever so slightly? For narrative, especially.
I think it's a difficult one. And I think when we're talking best narrative, when it comes to a remake or remaster, it's how much have you changed the narrative from the original?
Yeah.
So something like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is significantly different to Final Fantasy VII, the narrative of that section of the game. They have changed quite a lot. They've expanded a lot. And I would argue there's enough there to warrant that, yes, the building blocks are Final Fantasy VII, but this game stands on its own.
Yeah.
So it is a remake, but it's not just a 1-for-1 retelling.
Yeah, I would agree.
I don't know for Silent Hill 2, but that's for argument's sake, say it is just a beat for beat retelling, then I don't think that should be in this category. Yeah. That story's been told.
Yeah, now I think other categories, remakes get a bit of a pass for because you have so much that you do change to make a modern game. Like, we're not taking anything away from the developers and the studios that put these out, because they essentially do make a whole game from the ground up almost. I think for me, this is Metaphor and Senua's Saga to fight out. Personally, I didn't think Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 did that much different from the first game in terms of narrative. I also don't remember much of it, whereas I feel like from what I've heard about Metaphor, the story about like the politics of the saving the world and everything that's kind of threaded throughout it in the character especially, it's doing a lot more. But
I feel it's going to be Metaphor. The fact that Metaphor is in the Game of the Year spoilers, but Metaphor is in the Game of the Year conversation, I think that is probably on the strength of the narrative.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's got its art direction, it's got everything else going on for it, but I feel a game like that, it lives or dies on its narrative.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Might be 7 Rebirth, but that does come with the stigma, and this is industry voted.
Yeah.
So I think that comes with the stigma of being 1/3 of a narrative and a remake. So I think for best narrative, a lot of press might turn away from that for that reason.
Interesting. And for a change, best narrative, no PlayStation game in here. Usually this is where you would see like a Naughty Dog or Gorilla or Sucker Punch, and nothing. So it could be Xboxes to take home. What category is up next, Richie?
Interestingly, Sega going twice.
Yeah, they do. That's a rarity.
Yeah. And not a single Sonic game. But next is Best Art Direction, Astrobot, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, Metaphor ReFantazio, and Never. Or
Never, I think.
NEVA.
Yeah, it's the same people who made Grease or Gris, so clearly these just like
Grease,
like making games that are difficult to pronounce. This is Best Art Direction for outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. We've got, as listed by Richie, this is a more traditional category. I think you can just look at and go, right, artistic design and animation, which game has the best art direction? For me, for this one, I'm going with Astrobot just because of how just like joyful, and especially like every single one of those robots has a unique custom animation, and there's like 200 of them. So not that that's the particular reason, but this is the only game I've played from this list. And I think Astrobot will win quite a few because of how much it took like the whole industry and the world by storm, just the sheer joyfulness of it. I think it's got enough in the tank for tickling people's like nostalgia and like family friendliness almost. Like I feel like art direction is such a nice award to give out because it's like, if your game looks visually stunning and it makes good on the animation, I think it will. Black Myth could get in there because some of the trailers and the footage did look stunning.
This is where I really think Jeff Keighley and the team at the Game Awards really need to scrap the current list of categories and redefine them, because I think art quality and art direction are not the same thing.
Yeah,
so Black Myth, I would 100% say it's one of the best looking games out this year. But doesn't really, in terms of its art direction,
there's nothing unique, is there?
There's nothing unique or interesting. What you've done is executed what you've done incredibly well, where something like Neva is probably the opposite, where it is absolutely stunning and unique and interesting and there's a lot going on. With Metaphor, you've got the very much Atlas kind of weird, kind of quirky, like splash menus and stuff everywhere.
Well, that's where it comes down like technical achievement. Like I've heard Metaphor, like the animation stuff are great, but the actual gameplay maybe is lacking a little bit in terms of the visuals.
Yeah, it's not the most visually stunning, but I don't think a game like that needs to be.
Yeah.
Elden Ring, to touch on the controversy with it being a DLC, I don't think they should be in there purely because it's not new. The art direction it was Elden Ring. It's already done.
Yeah, to touch on it a little bit.
Yeah. I think this is Astrobot.
Yeah, I think so as well. Astrobot.
It's not only how good it looks, it's how well it plays while looking that good.
I agree. Where are we going next, Richie?
Best score and music.
Best score and music. And the nominees
Astrobot, Final Fantasy VII, ReFantazio, Silent Hill 2, and Stellar Blade.
Ooh. It's I feel like this deservedly should go to Final Fantasy for how much they shafted Final Fantasy 16 last year. Because that soundtrack was phenomenal too, and it got shafted.
I think this is Final Fantasy's to lose. Metaphor is... I love the soundtrack to Persona 5. Metaphors is a bit weird in places. Is like... but I'm too early in the game really to judge its full soundtrack. Where Final Fantasy has some of the best music in video game history, full stop. 7 elevated that or already trope. 7 Rebirth has elevated it again. It's absolutely stunning.
Now, correct me with best score, because it says, for outstanding music inclusive of score, original song, and or licensed soundtrack. How much of Rebirth is new music?
It's all re-recorded.
How much of it is new?
Probably quite a lot, actually.
Because does this lean back onto like the narrative category, where we say, like, if you're taking songs that are 20-year-old and just re-recording them, does that merit being ahead of someone who's made something brand new for this year? This is where the categories need ultimately redefining, don't they? Because it's like, and it's so subjective. It
is subjective, and someone might go, you know what? I absolutely adore Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I think it's the best music in this year's video games, full stop. However, I picked Astrobot because Final Fantasy VII's music came out 20 odd years ago.
And where does the nostalgia play into that? Like, a cleaner, re-recorded version of one of your favourite songs from childhood, it's going to have merit where none of the others have a chance with that because they're all new. And this is where I think all the categories need redefining. I have heard Stellar Blade's soundtrack is absolutely banging. There's some proper rock moments during the fight scenes in that. So that could sneak in there for me. Astrobot, I think, is brilliant for the music. Like, it's such a bop and a beat when you're playing through. Like, you've played the VR room ones and the playroom. It's that amplified. Like, I've listened to Astrobot while I've been driving somewhere with work, and it's just so fun and jovial. It could be anyone's.
That's a good telling. Like, Persona 5, I still listen to the soundtrack to that at work and stuff. There's some video game soundtracks that you just click with.
Yeah. So this could be up for anyone. I think Silent Hill's just not got no chance, unfortunately. But
I think Silent Hill might do better in the next category, which is Best Audio Design.
Ah, yes. Best Audio Design. And the nominees are...
Astrobot, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2. I think it's one of the bottom two, the last two, Hellblade or Silent Hill. Because this is when you're starting to get the more atmospheric sounds and...
Well, Call of Duty's in there because they go like properly in depth about getting every unique gun has its own sound effect, and they record the explosions, and I get they go full on for that, but I feel like it's won that in previous years for the same merits, so it's not unique anymore.
I feel like it's pretty much every Call of Duty like probably has at least 50-60% of the same weapons from game to game.
Re-recorded.
So it's not like they're taking this from complete scratch, where something like Hellblade 2, they had to. Silent Hill 2, they did.
Yeah. I think it's got probably one of the more two horror ones, because I think with in-game sound design and audio design, I think there's a lot more craft goes into it, especially for spatial and 3D audio. There is something, there's like, because I do adore Astrobot so much, in the fact that it's showing up in every category, I can't see it having a clean sweep, because again, the thing with these votes is because it is industries and outlets from across the games industry, there's sometimes like a tactical vote to it, isn't there? And this is why in years gone past, some games miss out because like they almost always finish third because the vote gets split. So you get the two best games get equal votes, and then all of a sudden the front runners, essentially third place, nicks in there because the top two are split evenly, and then third place steals it out of nowhere. So it feels like if you look at this and go, well, everyone's going to go for Silent Hill, everyone's going for Senua, and then Astrobot's in the background go, well, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't the best. That gets third place. You know what I mean? It's like tactical voting has to go on behind the scenes. But yeah, I think you're right. I think two of the horror ones should probably get this one. What's up next?
Best performance. So it's Brianna White, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, plays Aerith. Hannah Tell, Life is Strange Double Exposure, playing Max. Humblebee Humberly Gonzalez, Star Wars Outlaws, playing Kves. Luke Roberts, Silent Hill 2. And Melina Jurgens playing in Senua's Saga. I'm just going to quickly look up who Luke Roberts plays because I wasn't. It's aware.
It should say who they play.
Yes,
in it.
My list I'm reading does not.
Yeah, I mean, KVS, sorry, you're not going to... It's weird because sometimes the performance can be outstanding, but because the game is weak...
He plays James
Sunderland, yeah, he's the main guy.
Yeah, I thought he would be, but I just wanted to check.
I feel like Life is Strange, and I feel like it's just been one of those years where there's not been many. I have heard a lot of people shouting out that one of the characters from Metaphor should have been in this. He's got like quite a Scandinavian name. You might not have even got to him yet. It's like Hellenberg, Hersberg, something Berg.
The thing I've had a few people tell me with Metaphor is you should probably play it in its native Japanese rather than the English, because the English dubbing isn't great. Okay. It has that kind of... It's the same thing with like any anime where it's almost always the Japanese dub is so much better than the English because it is written in Japanese and translated. So things don't always translate as well, and the English voice casting is sometimes secondary.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised best performance. And there's no mocap or anything in that game.
Yeah.
Which I think nowadays takes... I think you almost need to have an insane level of voice acting performance to get in this level, or you need that mocap in there.
Yeah, I agree. This is where I think it's Senua's to lose, or Melina Jurgens. She won it the last time round, and I think as much as the game didn't do much for me, I can't deny her performance, like the visuals and the emotion she put into that. Outstanding.
I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to Brianna White though. Because she plays Aerith in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Aerith is probably the central character of Rebirth. And there's some incredible vocal performances, both in dramatic and actual singing performances. Okay. It's quite a varied performance throughout.
Interesting. And this is one of them categories where, even though it's a remake, I think that's totally justified in performance, because the individuals still have to go to work every day and recreate this word for word.
The original performance was text box.
Yeah. So, slight improvement there. Right, let's get through some more of these, Richie, because it is a big chunk of the show.
I'm just going to go through a few of them quickly.
Yeah.
Innovation and accessibility: Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, Diablo 4, Dragon Age, The Veilguard, Dragon Age, Persia, Lost Crown, Star Wars Outlaws.
Shout out to Ubisoft. You've got 2 in this category somehow.
Yeah. Ubisoft do well for accessibility, actually.
My money's on Lost Crown, because even though it's a Metroidvania, they did add a lot of like quality of life improvements that we've not seen in a Metroidvania for some time. But yeah, I've not played the rest of them to say.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the reasons for each of these, so I'm not going to comment. Games for Impact, Close as a Distance, Indica, Never, Life is Strange Double Exposure, Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, Tales of Kenzera, Zao.
I think Tales of Kenzera gets it. If you remember, the director of the game came out last year at the Game Awards, I think, and poured his heart out about like losing his father and almost like the spiritual... Basically, the story of that is the game, with like a African tribal afterlife kind of tied into it.
Life is Strange is usually in around this kind of thing, but I don't feel Double Exposure as being zeitgeisty enough for like... I agree. The 4th main entry in the franchise. Best ongoing game: Destiny 2, Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Helldivers 2. It's got to be Helldivers.
Helldivers 2, yeah. I think Diablo could be in with a shout, but I feel like they shot themselves in the foot with the first expansion, where it annoyed a lot of people.
Well, I suppose the argument with being ongoing game is Helldivers 2 arguably fell off the boil in in autumn. Hasn't really picked back up, while all the others have been going strong for a long time. Yeah,
consistent. Yeah, I would agree with that. Helldivers had like a great first quarter when it launched, and I can't believe they haven't had like another faction out or like just another moment. I'd go back to it in a heartbeat if they gave me a reason. And I think the success maybe caught them off guard a lot, and they haven't been able to turn something around. Because if they dropped something in September that was like a new faction, a new enemy, new worlds, weapons, etc., I think it could have had a massive swell of interest again. And it's still got great players, and I think it will be around for a long, long time. But yeah, I don't think they've been able to staff up as quick as they maybe would have hoped to keep it in the zeitgeist, as you say.
Yeah.
But then it was such a moment.
Well, I can argue Helldivers is probably the weakest supported out of them this year. It's the only one that came out this year.
That's true. But if you remember, Cyberpunk won it last year for best ongoing with Phantom Liberty. And if you remember, like the same week, CD Projekt Red came out and went, yeah, you're not getting any more DLC for Cyberpunk. And then it won best ongoing game with another ironic bit of controversy for the Game Awards.
Yeah, and they haven't learned. Best community support, Baldur's Gate 3 from Larian, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Helldivers 2, No Man's Sky.
Oh, I've got to go Helldivers on this one, just because of the way they had that like fourth wall breaking. The guy who was running the Twitter account and the Reddit and the Discord was basically making out like he was the propaganda for the war campaigns in game.
And then there was stuff regarding needing the Sony account, which wasn't accessible in all regions that the game was sold in, and they managed to circumvent that in quite a relatively quick period of time.
Yeah.
So people all over the world could play the game.
Yeah.
So that, I think, is demonstrating this level of community support that could have been crippling.
And transparency. The CEO came out so many times and basically went, this is why we don't do this. This is why we can't do this. This is like, he was very on the nail with like his reasons behind it. So I think in terms of transparency, responsiveness and stuff, I think they've been brilliant. I think even he came out and he blamed Sony for something. He was like, look, this isn't our decision, it's Sony. Go blame them. So it's like he was super clear with like updates and patches and everything. So yeah, Helldivers for me.
Yeah. Independent game, Animal Well, Laurel Alley's Eyes, UF50.
Say that one more time. Richie's gone robotic.
Oh,
wait.
Best independent game.
Pause, everyone. He's still talking. Richie's gone quiet for the Game Awards. Is he back? I can't tell. He moved slightly.
I'm still here.
We'll pause briefly.
I'm still here. I can hear you clearly.
Intermission for Robot Richie.
Am I back?
Maybe drop out and drop back in just to see if it... Oh, you are back kind of blurry. I think so. Keep talking.
Clear.
Yeah. You're no
longer saying words.
No longer Mr. Robot. Welcome back.
All right. So, best independent game: Animal Well, Balatro, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Neva, and UFO 50. Nothing really to say there. I think it's
Balatro's, yeah. Animal Well, I think, would have been up there, but I think Balatro might. It's between them two for me. Animal Well and Balatro got such good praise.
Yeah. Next. Best debut indie game: Animal Well, Balatro, Manor Lords, Pacific Drive, The Plucky Squire.
I mean, I really enjoyed The Plucky Squire, but I think it's very much between Animal Well and Balatro to battle out for best debut game. Indie studio. There's one of them, like, how many big, massive indie studios are out there, but we don't call them indie.
Yeah.
But they're there. Next.
Yeah. Best mobile game: AFK Journey, Balatro, Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket, Wuthering Waves, Zenless Zone Zero. It's Pokemon.
I would have been Balatro, but I think the way Pokemon's came out the last couple of weeks, it's only just snuck in there as well with its timing to be eligible.
If a game can get me playing a mobile game, not playing my game via cloud on the phone, actually get me playing a mobile game, then it deserves a win.
Wow, so there you go. That's it. Forget everyone's votes. If it can get Richie to play a mobile game,
that should be just a test.
Yeah.
Best VR/AR game: Arizona Sunshine remake, Asgard's Wrath 2, which is probably the winner, Batman and Arkham Shadow, Metal Hellsinger VR, Metro Awakening.
I'd like to think Batman Arkham Shadow gets it because it's so good, but I'm also shocked that Asgard's Wrath 2 came out this year. That feels like a lifetime ago when we were talking about that. But it did get loads of plaudits, and I think it'll take it.
Yeah.
And Metro, again, only came out like last week, right? So that must have snuck in there right at the end.
It's been a week, for VR, though.
It has.
Yeah.
Back to the Portal news, though. Remember when I made the prediction it'll outsell VR 2?
Yeah.
I think with this week's news, I think it's totally rinsed PlayStation VR 2. Next.
Best action game: Black Myth Wukong, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, which them games are not comparable and should not be in the same category, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Helldivers 2, Stellar Blade, Warhammer 40k, Space Marine 2.
Ooh.
This is where they need to redefine action game.
Yeah, they're all different. Like, they all have action in, don't get me wrong, but they are very different types of action.
Yeah.
Like each and every one of them is so unique and different. You've got Monkey Boy with a staff who can turn into like an eagle person. You've got traditional warfare with shooting rifles. You've got fighting bugs and terminids and robots on a third-person alien planet. You've got a sexy girl with a sword, and you got a big bulky dude with a sword, a chainsaw, fighting aliens as well.
Yeah.
It's the closest you've got is probably Warhammer and Helldivers in terms of what they're fighting and the weapons they use, but yeah, other than that,
Stellar Blade is third person. Black Myth is still third person. But I just don't feel like these games are that comparable. Like,
no. Do you want to just pull a quick one out then? What do you reckon? Was your money on?
Part of me wants to go Call of Duty actually, but it could be Helldivers.
Yeah.
Or Black Myth. Actually, I'm.
Do you want to name? Do you want to name the last one so you've got them all?
Yeah. My thing with Black Myth is the reviews were kind of decent, but nothing spectacular. But it just sold absolute fucking boatloads.
So this is where it comes back to like the politics almost of the Game Awards. A lot of the people who vote aren't necessarily like Western based. There's a lot of outlets from it's a totally global thing. And I think if you've got all of the outlets from like the Asian part of the world, and it basically where Black Myth Wukong resonates a bit more with them, and it's sold astronomical numbers. I think that's what pulls the votes. I think don't count it out, because even though we in the West think like, oh, it's not up there with the rest of them, I think the story and the way it resonates, and it's the first AAA game out of that part of the world, arguably, on this scale. I think it's going to get a couple of sneaky wins without anyone realising it. But you're right. I don't think it rated as well as it probably could have done. But
yeah.
Decent,
for me, but didn't set the world alight.
For me, I absolutely
the world.
Loved Warhammer, but it has to be Helldivers, because we'll get to it with Game of the Year, but I feel like Helldivers is one of the ones that was shafted in Game of the Year. So next category, which is
Best
pretty much
adventure,
which is just the same category, right?
No, it's got adventure in there as well. But the other games don't have any adventure, Chris.
No adventure in that one.
They don't have any adventure.
They're just the same category.
Astrobot, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Silent Hill 2, action adventure Silent Hill, really?
Exactly.
Star Wars Outlaws, Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom.
Well, this is where, for the best action adventure game, Zelda, combining combat with traversal and puzzles. So I guess that's where Silent Hill gets in there, for the puzzles and traversal, maybe?
For me, the only two that are really action adventure games are Prince of Persia and Zelda. We can maybe put Star Wars Outlaws in there, but it's not really about traversal.
It's. I mean, again, it's reading between the lines, isn't it?
I think this is Zelda.
This is between Zelda and Astrobot for me, I think.
Zelda is coming up surprisingly little, actually.
Because you need to get some DLC in there.
Yeah.
What's up
Best
next?
RPG: Dragon's Dogma 2, Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erd Tree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth, Metaphor ReFantazio. I don't mind Shadow of the Erd Tree being in this category.
I do,
because RPGs are typically about the narratives and stuff, and this is.
Maybe they should change it from for the best game designed in the initial.
Yeah, actually, I suppose I'm going to take that back. Actually, I wouldn't mind Shadow of the Erd Tree being on the best narrative, but on the best RPG. It's DLC, it's not game.
Yeah, we'll get to that. What got shafted? I feel like Dragon Age maybe got shafted a little bit by DLC being in this one. Dragon's Dogma is one that I think got forgot about. I feel like there's a couple more games that came out this year that I'm blanking on that probably should be in these categories but miss out a little bit. Best RPG then, what do you reckon?
It's either Final Fantasy or Metaphor. I think it's probably going to go on Metaphor.
Yeah, I think Metaphor for this one as well.
I do probably at some point need to talk about my impressions of Dragon Age, but I think I'll save that for next week.
Yes, we don't have time this week.
Yeah. And it's not my hands-on impressions anyway. It's third party watching it. I have another source of learning about games nowadays. Best fighting game: Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus Rising, Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics, Multiverses, Tekken 8.
Tekken 8 for me.
I'm thinking Dragon Ball.
I think Dragon Ball had a big moment, but I feel like Tekken 8 wins out on other fronts. But we're no experts. I'm pretty sure Multiverse has got pulled as well by Warner Brothers, and it's going to come back in the future. So I feel like it's not currently currently playable.
If it's not currently playable, it shouldn't be on the list.
But did it come out? Did it come out this year and then it was pulled?
But if it's not currently playable, it shouldn't be on the list. Surely there's like a stipulation.
Multiverse's release date. It came out May 28th. In the open beta period, finished in June. Full release. So I don't think it's currently out. I think they pulled it, maybe. We won't get into that yet. Next category?
The next category is Best Family Game. Astrobot, Princess Peach, Showtime. This is the Nintendo category, basically. Super Mario Party Jamboree, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and the Plucky Squire.
It's the best Nintendo category, which Astrobot's going to win.
Yeah,
Best game approach for family play, irrespective of genre or platform. I think all of the other franchises have had their moment to shine over the years, rightly so. Plucky Squire just doesn't cut it enough. Astrobot's just, I think, when you're thinking of family and just whimsy, like we have friends who absolutely, like their children absolutely adore Astrobot, just from watching it.
My thing with this category, though, is best family game. My mind immediately goes to a game that you would play with your family, not a game that is suitable for children.
If Jamboree wins this, it's a bit... I think it's the game that's
what I mean? It's like,
there's no weapons, there's no real violence, it's just colourful cartoons.
Yeah.
But, my money's on Astrobot.
My money's on Astrobot as well. I loved Echoes of Wisdom, but I think this isn't the category for it.
Yeah. It is usually Nintendo's category to win, though.
Yeah. Best Sim Strategy Game. Age of Mythology Retold, Frostpunk 2, Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess, Mana Lords, Unicorn Overlord.
I think Age of Mythology doesn't get in there because it's a remake of sorts. I think this is between Frostpunk and Mana Lords for me. I think Mana Lords had a lot of groundswell behind it when it did launch. And
Unicorn Overlord, I think, had a moment.
It did. They all kind of have... I think that's it with strategy games, don't they? They always have like a little bit of a moment and then inevitably fall away.
I don't know if they fall away or it's we're not paying attention to because they're very much ongoing kind of things. I don't know. I really don't know. But I am with you. I don't think Age of Mythology.
Yeah. You maybe Unicorn Overlord just because of the variance in it.
Best sports racing game, F1 24, EA Sports FC 25, NBA 2K 25, Top Spin 2K 25, WWE 2K 24.
Again, a subject.
I don't care.
It's one of them where why is racing and sports together? But
which sport do you prefer?
The controversy with this one is EA's college football didn't get into this, having sold absolutely gangbusters, and then this goes back to its international voting. So everyone outside of America, for the most part, doesn't give a toss about NFL, or especially not even just NFL, college level, like below the NFL. Yes, the universities and all their stadiums get more attendance than all the major football grounds in Europe and stuff. But does anyone know they are? Does anyone care who these university players are? They finally got paid this time around. Great. But yeah, Top Spin pipped you to it. So I reckon this is FIFA's to lose, or EA Sports FC, quite frankly. Just out of popularity, global popularity. Football's bigger than all of them. So
yeah, 100%. Best multiplayer game, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, which I think is the winner here, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Tekken 8, Warhammer.
I don't class Warhammer as a multiplayer game because it's predominantly a campaign with multiplayer attached. Super Mario Jamboree, it's multiplayer, but not how I think the world thinks of multiplayer nowadays. Black Ops is Black Ops. I think, Helldivers. Outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massive multiplayer experience, irrespective of the genre or platform. Yeah, Helldivers for me. Every day of the week.
Best adaptation, Arcane, Fallout, Knuckles, Like a Dragon Yakuza, Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft.
Fallout. Yeah.
Fallout was awesome.
Knuckles was average at best. Needed more Knuckles. I've
heard really good things about Arcane.
Same. I don't think it's fully out yet though. I feel like the latest season's been broken into 2 parts, and I think the second or third part of it doesn't come out until this week. So I feel like you can't really review it if the whole season's not out.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind watching the Tomb Raider Legend of Lara Croft is the anime, isn't it?
Yeah, with Hayley Atwell as Lara. Yeah. I'll get round to that when I next get Netflix.
I'm not going to go into the most anticipated game because I don't think it should be a genre. It just shouldn't be.
I mean, we all know it's Grand Theft Auto 6. Like, come on. Yeah, who is not going to vote for that for most anticipated game of next year? It's the most anticipated game of the last 20 years.
It's not mine. Mine's Ghost of Yotai. But this is it's subjective. Everyone. It's completely subjective. Yeah. It's like, because I have no interest in Grand Theft Auto 6.
And the remaining categories, I have no clue who these people are.
Content Creator of the Year, I'm not going to touch on it. Best Esports.
Content Creator of the Year, GamerGuild TV.
Yeah, but we're not on the list,
That's
unfortunately.
True. Yeah, that's true.
Damn it, Jeff.
And
And finally, Game of the Year.
Yes.
Astrobot.
Game
Balatro.
of the Year.
Black Myth Wukong. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And Metaphor ReFantasio.
Right, Richie. Recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. And here we are at the ultimate decision. Which game wins Game? Again, the Game Awards, there's many other games. The Joystick Awards were this year. We specifically focus on the Game Awards because we like to see all the new news. I like Jeff Keighley. I like what he does with the Summer Games Fest and everything else in between. He really needs to sort out these categories for next year. He always takes criticism on board and he always tries to tweak and improve and shorten down where it is. But for me, for Game of the Year, the biggest controversy, and I feel like the whole internet is against this bar a few outlining content creators and industry experts. Why the hell is Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree, as good as it is,
not taking anything away from the quality of it?
No, it is not a game.
It is DLC of the year.
Yeah, it's expansion.
And that should be DLC stroke expansion of the year.
Yeah, just give it its own category, Jeff. Like, it's not that fucking hard to just make a new category. You've already got 20 pointless ones mixed in there.
What annoys me is Cyberpunk last year, same discussion, didn't take it on board.
No, it got ongoing. It won the random ongoing category. It also shouldn't have been in last year. But it just makes me wonder why. And the Game Awards put out a tweet saying, like, they consider all creative content within this medium. But ultimately, it's Game of the Year. And do you know what the worst part about Elden Ring is? Not only can you not buy it standalone, so you have to buy Elden Ring, which was Game of the Year 2022. Yeah. It's not even a DLC where you can like just jump into it from the menu. You need to play a significant portion. I've heard like 20 to 30 hours of the game. You have to defeat 2 very obscure bosses, go to apparently this egg portal, which takes you to another area, which is, I'm guessing, where the Erd Tree is. And then you need to be significantly leveled up to even attempt this Erd Tree DLC.
Which is absolutely fine for DLC, which is meant to be endgame DLC.
100%.
It's an endgame expansion. That's absolutely fine for what that is.
Mm-hmm.
The Game Awards sorely needs best DLC stroke expansion of the year for games like this, for content like this, to get the due credit in the category where they deserve to be. Mm-hmm. But it is not a game and it's standalone, right? So it just, for me, should not be in here.
Yeah. I don't know why they would even think to put it in. I know they've said apparently previous years stuff was eligible and just nothing was this good to make it to Game of the Year. But my biggest argument with this is it does a disservice to all of the developers and all of the studios who work so hard all year round for 3, 4, 5 years to put out quality content to submit within the year of 2024. And a slot misses out on Game of the Year because somebody built on the fantastic foundations of a previous great game and expanded on it, and they get in. And I think it's a huge, unsightful thing to do for the likes of Helldivers 2. Misses out this year. Space Marine 2 could have been in here for a lot of people.
Zelda,
games that came out
a massive
this year.
Publisher,
yeah,
Zelda might have been that slot, and then a lot of people like going,
Stellar Blade.
When I played all these games this year, and Zelda was my favorite, I'm putting my money in that.
Mm-hmm.
But because Elden Ring's in there, I feel like part of it is Elden Ring's in there because it's Elden Ring.
Yeah, and this is where it's like, why does it get special? It feels like it gets special treatment. And I know Jeff's got a great relationship with FromSoft. We should also stress, Jeff doesn't make the decision. He's not on the panel. He's not on the board of people who votes. But it's like, if your rules on each category and descriptions of each category were tighter, this wouldn't happen. And it's weird because I've seen people in the industry, like we're both big fans of Kinda Funny and Greg Miller. Mm. He came out and said, like, if Elden Ring is the best content you play this year, it 100% should be eligible. And it's like, that's a bad take, dude. Like, I agree with you on so many things, but not this. You may be
celebrating the games that came out this year.
Yeah, Game of the Year.
This is why you need... I understand it being in here because it's the category it should be in doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. Yeah. Create the category. It needs best because DLC and expansions are just so much part of the gaming industry now.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, my girlfriend swears by Assassin's Creed Valhalla's DLC are way better than Assassin's Creed Valhalla base game.
Yeah, the Ragnarok stuff was terrific.
Yeah, exactly. So stuff like that. So this content, I think, deserves a lot of credit. He's a traditional one for a massive throwback. Warcraft 3. The expansion to that is better than the base game. It is a continuation of it, but that's when the story really takes some interesting twists and turns. So it's not even a new thing. So it just needs that category, and Elden Ring would win that 100%.
Yeah. Same with, we also need like a remake remaster category. So when we're back and forth and ahhing about like best narrative and best audio, and you've got Silent Hill and stuff creeping in there and Final Fantasy, if you just had a best remake / remaster category, Final Fantasy, Silent Hill, all the other great games that get polished up and re-released could drop into there.
Best remake, remaster, re-release.
But ultimately, this is on the Game Awards and Jeff to like sort it out, because it's not needed. This could have all been averted. And it's weird how some categories have 5 games in them and then some have 6. It's like you need to hone that in as well. Like realistically, Game of the Year, why couldn't we have 10 nominees for Game of the Year? And then the votes just go to the best?
My assumption there is when they're shortlisting it, it's 5 or 6, and they'll probably do like a blind ballot and stuff. And depending on the cutoffs, if like 2 games are close enough to each other, rather than cutting them off, you just go, we're going to use the 6th slot.
Yeah. So what major ones were missing from this year? Not for Game of the Year, but just in general. I feel like we didn't see anything from Rise of the Ronin. Got in nothing. Stellar Blade got shafted on a couple of things. I think Dragon Age got shafted on a couple of things. Maybe wouldn't have made it to Game of the Year.
I feel like Dragon Age was maybe a bit too late, and where something like Metaphor really was quite unique in what it is with that Atlas presentation, resonated with a bit more.
Yeah.
Where I feel like Dragon Age almost has come and went a bit, and I don't think it should. It's a lot better than I give it credit for.
Yeah.
Spoilers for next week's podcast there.
So overall though, Game of the Year, who's your money going on?
Astrobot.
Yeah, it's Astrobot for me as well. It's one of them I wouldn't be surprised if Black Myth swooped it somehow, because of the stuff we mentioned earlier on in other categories. But I hope in my heart of hearts, I think Astrobot's just the purest, most refined, nostalgic trip I've had in many, many years. And it's my favourite game I've played so far this year.
And there's a trend towards, I think, Soulsborne games at the moment in the industry doing really well, which is probably one of the reasons why Elden Ring's in here. My Game of the Year is still, at this moment, it's still Zelda. It could be Metaphor by the end of the year, though.
Ooh, if you find enough
Final Fantasy is definitely up there, but I haven't played that many new games this year, so...
Well, we'll get to that when we talk about our Game of the Year discussion. But I think that's it for now. Of course, join us live when we watch the Game Awards. Let us know in the comments below what your Game of the Year is. Do you think Elden Ring should be there, and why it definitely shouldn't be? Richie, shall we get back to the regular studio and the regular news?
We should. An hour in.
An hour into the show. I can turn off that light now. It's blinding me the whole time. Right, so that's the main story. Controversy out the way. Time to jump over to some... other news. We've got quite a lot, actually, haven't we? Still.
Yeah.
Let's get into the Portal news first, because I feel like I want to get to that first. So we had the controversy around Elden Ring and DLC and stuff. The PlayStation Portal, Richie. It's a lovely device. We both absolutely adore it. Even when it just had the cloud gaming feature, not cloud gaming, went ahead. Even when it had the remote play streaming, we both found ways to utilize it. I've played it absolutely tons. Some games run even better on it, I think, like the more traditional platforms or smaller games. Yeah. I got my platinum last week for Lego Horizon on it, and it looked beautiful and stunning.
My initial take on the Portal was it's a niche device because it's only a remote play device, which means that it can't really take it on the go because it locks down your PlayStation while you're using it. And I bought one because of my living situation where I'm spending a lot more time at my girlfriend's house. I need my PlayStation here as part of my content setup. So I was using my Portal a lot. That's where the Portal suddenly became a very, very useful device for me. I fell into the niche, but I still stand by it was a niche device. And I've always said it's lacking the features it now has.
It does indeed. We got a nice stealth drop reading from the PlayStation blog. The PlayStation Portal Remote Player, with an aspiration to deliver console-quality gaming experience on a handheld device, the PlayStation Portal was an ambitious project for us. We've been delighted by the positive response from our fans, and we see our vision has resonated with the community. Today, we are pleased to announce a new system update for PlayStation Portal that will begin releasing. It's already out now. It will reflect improvements across audio and adjusting settings and latency and stuff. It's actually fixed. I've heard this update fixed a lot of little glitch issues people had with just like connection and stuff. So it's actually remedied a couple of things. But the biggest thing
connection issues,
is the update is also going to include a beta version of a new feature that many fans have been asking for, us especially. From the second it was announced, we just clambered for this. Support for cloud streaming on the PlayStation Portal. When the update is live, PlayStation Plus Premium members, caveat, will be able to participate in the beta for cloud streaming on the portal, allowing select PS5 games in the PlayStation Plus game catalog to be streamed directly from our servers, even without, keyword, without a PlayStation 5 console.
Now, the whole PlayStation Plus Premium member thing, you have to have that anyway to use PlayStation Cloud Gaming.
Yeah.
That isn't new. It's not new for this device. That is just
that's the standard
clarification. Yeah.
So Richie, 120 games. You don't need to even turn your PlayStation 5 on. That includes things like Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ratchet & Clank. The list is 120, but naturally it will get bigger as beta goes out. This is 1080p, 60 frames per second streamed. All the DualSense features like haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, touchpad, all that stuff is emulated and recreated in the controller. And you still get your save files and stuff. You just have to opt in for the beta, and it refreshes your screen. I've tried it out. I'm sure you might have checked it out by now.
I had a quick flick through the menus, but I don't have PlayStation Plus Premium at the moment. And wasn't going to upgrade now because I've just started like 100+ hour game. But when I finish Metaphor, that might be when I go, it's time to go back. This is a feature that will get me back into PlayStation Plus Premium.
So we both love the Portal for just, I think, having that in your hand, close to your face, chilling on the couch, chilling in bed, sitting on the toilet, and a bunch of other stuff.
If you want to know what the experience is and you've not really played a Portal before, think of the Switch, but PlayStation. That's the same. It's actually ergonomically much nicer, actually, than the Switch. It actually has ergonomics. And it's using basically DualSense cut in half. But it does have that kind of Switch vibes to it where you can very easily, comfortably on the couch, sit there playing your games. The size of the screen is perfect for me. I find a phone, even a fairly large one, is too small for most games. I find the Portal is perfect. I absolutely adore mine.
Yeah, it's great. And it's that thing where it's not too heavy either because there's not really that much hardware in there. It's essentially a cheap, well, not a cheap tablet, a quality tablet and a split DualSense. So if you use it's basically the weight of a DualSense with a tablet on top of it. But I think you're right. The ergonomics of it are surprisingly good. Like when you hold it in your hand, it does just feel like you're holding a DualSense controller, but you've got a beautiful screen. And I think the big difference here is because it is all the hardware, the grunt work is being done by your console and now the cloud. That's what we said. It was like, it has internet capabilities. It's got a gorgeous screen. It's got controller input. It has Wi-Fi. It should do cloud gaming. Like, as people who've came from the Stadia days and we've played so much Xbox cloud gaming and we've trialed Razer Keyshis and stuff and our controllers up to tablets. When they put out this device, it was like, how have they not implemented cloud gaming? And I'm so glad they've took that on board and we've got the beta and it runs great. Like, I've played Ghost of Tsushima, a couple of other older titles. Dino Crisis I was playing earlier this week on it. The latency is non-existent from what I've seen, and the games look beautiful. And in a way, it actually plays a little bit better than the remote play version of it.
It's weird. My girlfriends came in a few times and found me just laying on the couch playing a Portal back when I was playing Jedi Survivor.
Yeah.
Looked at me, looked at her massive 4K TV on the wall that is switched off or has a random podcast on. It's like, why aren't you playing on the big TV? It's like, oh, I'm good here.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm just generally like, I'm quite happy just playing on this. I had Jedi Survivor installed on her console as well. So it wasn't like a logistical difficulty or something. I had to download the game on different consoles. Like, now I'm just good using this.
Yeah.
So it's become my default way of playing PlayStation.
And now it has cloud gaming. So for everyone out there, like the weird thing about this now is if you have PlayStation Premium and you buy a Portal, you can have PlayStation 5 gaming for 200 quid and a monthly subscription.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's almost created like another pillar for Sony to sell now, because you've essentially made a handheld without the crazy price tag of a Steam Deck or whatever Xbox thing looks like. You've got the quality of games, like, again, in beta, so limited, but if they get to a point in another year or two where you've got day-and-date PlayStation games that you can buy on your phone via the app or via whatever new interface it looks like on the Portal and just stream it, and people are content and happy with that, because we've been happy with cloud gaming for 5 years now. So we're not new to this anymore, but people out there will be discovering this for the first time and realizing that they can have all the haptic qualities of a DualSense, a beautiful screen for less than 200 quid, and play some of the beautiful games like Ghost of Tsushima just on the go. Or they could still get the PS5 and enjoy the big TV like you and your girlfriend said. But it's just like, I feel like this is a whole different pillar for PlayStation now that they've almost stumbled into without realizing it.
You know what? We had the conversation last week about Xbox's handheld taking the place of a Series S. This is exactly the same idea, really.
Yeah.
It's on the same kind of progressing on the same lines, where you have your PlayStation 5 as your main SKU, you have your Portal as your entry-level SKU.
Mm-hmm. And I saw people all over the internet going like, still arguing, going like, I want a Vita 2, I want another handheld. I don't think Sony are in for making a handheld at all.
No, I think that ship is well sailed.
Yeah.
I think cloud gaming is replacing the handheld. Now, there's still some features I wish the Portal would have. One, unlock the wireless Bluetooth audio capabilities, so you can use your own earbuds. I refuse, and then I might consider Sony's proprietary ones. And two, I still think these devices, all of them, need to be able to support in some way mobile data.
Yeah.
For on-the-go gaming.
Well, again, this is where now, like I've said it before, you can hotspot from your phone and do it. I've done it in hotels and stuff. And so there is a turnaround, because then again, you've got like networks and SIM contracts and stuff to kind of dabble with. And I don't think they'd be that interested. But I think you're right.
Link in the chain of cloud gaming, and every one of these reduces the performance.
I could see a PlayStation Portal 2 or a PlayStation Portal Pro that has things like Wi-Fi 7, better battery, OLED screen, and Bluetooth capabilities. Those four features, add another 50 quid onto it, so maybe cost 250, maybe 279. Like you're pushing it a little bit, but it's the Pro premium tag upwards.
Or you bring out a PlayStation Portal Pro that can have downloadable games up to PS4 quality. So it has a small hard drive.
But that's where the price starts to jump, right? Like
it does. That's why you do it as a higher tier of it. It becomes more like a Steam Deck rather than a remote player.
Yeah.
So then, but you still keep this version. Yeah. So you have both.
But all in all, I was thrilled with the news. I was like, sweet, my Portal just got better, especially when it was like the day before my anniversary edition was arriving. It was like, you've just like, that's just the extra swan song for this arriving later this week. And back to why I'm selling my old one for quite a premium price still, because it's now worth arguably more than it was last week because of these new features. Like if you're a kid and you want a Portal for Christmas, your mum and dad no longer need to fork out for an actual PS5 console. They could just get you a Portal, chill in your bed and play it. Get your subscription anywhere. Happy days. Right, we'll stick with cloud gaming before I jump back to the other one, because there are a couple of other big stories we want to get to this week. Xbox followed up with the cloud gaming news that you can finally stream your own games with Xbox Cloud Gaming, still in beta, still there in beta. All this cloud gaming is still in beta, half a decade on. Reading from the Xbox Wire blog, our mission is to bring more games to more people around the world across devices. We believe gaming should be easy to access and available for all players, no matter what device you choose to play with. That's why we're dedicated to making great games available across console, PC, with cloud gaming. Today, millions of Xbox Pass holders are enjoying cloud gaming to play from top titles. It then goes on to explain that as of today, 50 great games are going to be available to purchase and play and stream from your own library as we continue to grow with our partners around the world. And then they go on to list, like, you can find them on the website. There's like 50 top games.
We're not going to list 50 games.
But essentially, now if you own a game outside of the Game Pass model, you can stream it. So we've been expecting this for quite some time, Richie. It's been on the cards for Xbox. I think Phil Spencer's addressed it like every interview he's done at any big event over the last 2-3 years. I think when Stadia, because this was the model Stadia had, right? You buy your game and you stream it.
Yeah, that's it.
And then, well, obviously Stadia shit the bed. And then everyone was like, right, Xbox, you need Game Pass to do it. And PlayStation, by proxy, you need PlayStation Plus Premium. So there was nowhere to buy a game a la carte and just be allowed to stream it without being tied to a subscription model. That mold is now reversed back. It's broke the mold, and we're back to the good old Stadia days where, yeah, you can just go and buy one of these top games like Star Wars Outlaws, Stray, Mortal Kombat, Hogwarts Legacy, and just play it to your heart's content in the cloud without having to subscribe to something. Good move, solid move, and what a week for cloud gaming, right? Like, what a week.
Yeah, 100%. And there's some real big gets in this for me, because Baldur's Gate jumps out at me in this, Baldur's Gate 3, because for me, I don't want to play that game on console. I've always wanted to play on PC, but I don't think my PC's GPU is good enough to play it. Cloud gaming is the solution to that, but I couldn't buy it and play cloud gaming without going through like GeForce Now and stuff, and I have issues with their price modeling. So if I could buy Baldur's Gate 3 on Xbox, I could then just use cloud gaming to play it on my PC.
Magic.
Yeah.
There is a caveat I've just noticed when I'm reading through it. You do still need Game Pass Ultimate.
You do.
Yeah. So, but it's good that now if they're not in the Game Pass library, you can play them instead. Because I found there's like certain games that are so randomly missed out, like Rise Son of Rome. When I came to do my Let's Play on the channel, it's an Xbox exclusive. There's no cloud version of it. Like, not that this will remedy that, but there's like little weird intricacies that I think it's going to take a good decade plus to iron out all these things in the cloud. And we know Xbox, I think, have be taking the foot off the pedal a little bit because Stadia went under and Luna is seemingly doing nothing. But with PlayStation up in the game and everyone complimenting the servers and the performance of how it's streaming to this, I could see PlayStation's next move being into the wider stream. Like, when do we get a mobile app so we can stream? If I'm a PlayStation Plus member, how come I can't just stream to my phones? Like we've done with Xbox for so long now, and we did with Stadia. I think these moves just bodes badly for Luna again as well. I know we don't touch on them that much, but it's all improvements.
Because they don't do anything interesting. Yeah. It's all steps in the right direction. I think the steps have slowed down since Stadia died, but they have more space to make these steps slower. And as long as they keep coming, I'm happy. We can wait this out. Cloud gaming might just need to be a slow burn to become the norm.
Yeah, I agree. But great week for cloud gaming and great week for our audience, because we know most of you out there are quite keen on the subject. Right, Richie, let's return to some actual big game news. The news coming out, ironically enough, with all the controversy around Elden Ring and all this. Sony are reportedly in talks to acquire the Elden Ring developers' parent company, Kadokawa Corp. It obviously goes up the ladder a little bit. You've got Elden Ring made by From Software. From Software are owned by Kadokawa Corporation, which is a company within Japan that owns a couple of different things. And just one of those branches is FromSoft, and then by proxy Elden Ring. Sony already has stakes in this company, and they're seemingly looking to move more. So looking at a report from Reuters, I don't know how you say it, they have two viable sources, and Reuters are one of those like the Washington Post and stuff where they are quite professional journalists. Like, they don't just do games industry, they do like economics and stuff. So them saying this is pretty much like, okay, it's pretty much a shoo-in. Discussions are said to be ongoing. If they're successful, a finalised deal could be signed within the coming weeks. The firm's stock are estimated to be worth $2.7 billion, which Sony already owns 2%. If a deal came to fruition, it would see the likes of Dark Souls and Bloodborne developer From Software fall under the Sony banner. But there's more to it as well, which I think is actually the interesting caveat, is Kadokawa also own lots of anime stuff. They do manga books, film, comics, and with Sony, they've got a big interest, and recently in the recent years, they snapped up Crunchyroll and Funimation to kind of just be the go-to place for all things like anime and manga. It's interesting, this one, because I think this is just if Sony like see this through, this is a huge win, right? They have
100%.
That means that it's essentially in-house. Sony own Demon Souls and Bloodborne right now. They would then acquire Elden Ring, Sekiro, and presumably what's their mech one? Armored Core?
Armored Core, and there's Dark Souls, Demon Souls.
It seems like a win, right? Like all around. Like it seems like this is going to go ahead. I think the other company who has a big chunk in it, it's either Tencent or Oh, what's the other? You know, like the big conglomerates that we don't really know about, but they have like their tendrils and everything.
But if their shares only similar to Sony's like 2 or 3%, then in the Sony gets up above that 51 magical 51 mark, they basically have a complete control.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where apparently the negotiations are in early stages, according to a Japanese newspaper report. I mean, this doesn't really surprise me. PlayStation have a history of acquiring studios they've had great relationships with in the past, and I think Bloodborne is a testament to that. And we've seen Demon's Souls was a launch game for the PlayStation 5. Although it was done by Bluepoint, it was an IP that was originated within FromSoft. And the way Elden Ring is, they've got a contract obviously with Bandai Namco, another Japanese company, which I think Sony would just work with or work through. But I think this would be a case of similar to the Bungie acquisition, where they're not buying them to make them exclusive. I think they're just buying them for profitability. And I think especially with all the anime manga stuff, that's where it decides like this is a financial decision, not necessarily we want Elden Ring.
I wouldn't be surprised if PlayStation went to Sony went, here's a list of all the developers we would like to have under at the PlayStation Studios banner. Clearly, FromSoft are going to be one of them, because you'd be an idiot not to have them on that list.
Agreed.
And then Sony have went back, actually, the guys who own them do all this other stuff, and the guys of our manga and anime team have just given us a list in. They want them. Let's go for it.
Let's do it.
It's several arms of the Sony business. Purchasing this company strengthens their position in multiple avenues where Sony want to get stronger in.
Yeah.
It's fairly, obviously, if the numbers are right and the selling parties are willing and stuff, and all the contract, all the businessy stuff is fine, it feels like a good move for Sony. Not necessary for the gaming industry, actually.
If they
consolidation,
if they go exclusive as well, there's always a risk. Like Xbox seem happy to play with others, Sony maybe not so much. Like I don't want an Elden Ring 2 coming out and it's exclusive to PS6. That'd be
and FromSoft have emerged over the last 10 years as one of probably the biggest hitters, independent hitters in the industry. They do work with other like companies like Bandai Namco, etc. But they still tend to be their own thing. They're kind of still out there on their own. So it's good to have studios like that able to do what they want without Sony's oversight. But for me, Sony buys them. From Software becomes a PlayStation Studios thing.
Yeah, and let's face it, they've got a much better track record and a much brighter future than the likes of Firewalk did with Concord or Fair Games with Haven. And like if you're Sony, it's like the amount of money we dumped into those studios and we've potentially made massive losses on them. If we get FromSoft, you pretty much, with all the IP they have and their history, you're telling me a Bloodborne 2, another Demon's Souls, an Elden Ring 2 isn't going to print cash, like regardless of the quality. It could come out and absolutely a shit show and it would sell millions. Like Elden Ring's like up to like 25 million units or something.
And then that's just Bluepoint. You took Bluepoint on the remake of Dark Souls 1.
Easy money, baby.
Yeah,
easy
it's just
money.
Greasy
money. So we'll probably see more about that. Probably be reporting on it by the time the Game Awards comes round. Imagine if the Ed Tree DLC wins Game of the Year and Sony go, oh, we own them now.
Yeah.
As well. Like, oh.
We went up for Game of the Year, so we bought the winners.
Well, it's one way to succeed. Microsoft have been trying it for years. Speaking of Microsoft, though, let's pivot away to some quick game reviews roundup this week. S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 arrived on Game Pass, Xbox, PC, etc. To the reviews, it's coming out at a level I'd probably say between 7 and 8 seems to be the standard. There are a few that give it absolute top marks. Reading from GameSpot review, they give it an 8 out of 10. S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, Heart of Chernobyl. It's rough around the edges, but its propensity for creating emergent moments in a deadly and alluring world makes this trip back to the zone a fraught and compelling experience. Windows Central give it a 4 out of 5. They said, despite some glaring issues with enemy spawns, aspects of the combat balancing and performance mishaps, S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 remains a triumph for the Ukrainian studio and is largely everything I wanted from a new entry in an underappreciated franchise. And now that this review is finished, I'm heading back to my playthrough for more. Final one. VGC gave it a 2 out of 5. Stalker 2 could be a great game in a few years, but what's present at launch is a technical mess that doesn't capitalize on its best ideas. Compelling side stories and a brilliant setting do a lot of heavy lifting, but at launch, Stalker 2 isn't an adventure we'd fully recommend embarking on. And this is what I've heard.
Radar is worth reading as well. For fans of hardcore shooters or punishing post-apocalyptic games, Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl is truly incomparable. Unfortunately, due to a litany of bugs, it's the greatest game that you shouldn't play right now.
Yeah.
Give it some time. This will be one of the best survival experiences you'll ever play. But until then, only the series' biggest fans should take the plunge. 3 out of 5. It feels like it needs longer in the oven.
Yeah, and this is an interesting. It's not an. I mean, it is an interesting one. It's for those who don't know the studio behind Stalker 2. It said they're a Ukrainian studio. Obviously, Ukraine under the horrible shitty war that Russia's still implementing on them. Like 3 years now we're into it. I think there's like stories every day, missile attacks, and this whole studio basically had to relocate. I think they're in Poland now, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's Poland or Czechia. It's one of the countries they moved to. So the game was supposed to come out, I think, last spring. So it's already had like over a year and a half delay. They finally got it to a point where they're happy to put it out, or Microsoft maybe forced their hand to put it out. So it's interesting reading between the lines, because I think with a reviewer, you have to give them almost like an extra bit of grace period and a bit of a pass. I know with reviews you shouldn't really do this, but we don't know what the internals are of the studio. And I think financially, they might be at breaking point where like, look, if we don't put this out, we can't stay up. Like, we just don't know. They might need to go back to their families. There's a lot of like personal real life shit going on where video games just are not a priority. So I think the reviews, some praise it, rightly so, some don't, rightly so. But I think the biggest thing is this game seemingly at its core could be great, but not right now.
It's great in potential. Yeah. It's just not quite there.
Yeah.
But the thing with game reviews is the reviewers can only review what's in front of them.
Yeah.
So they can go, I can see how this could be better, but at the moment it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
like a review in progress.
Yeah, but I think every game now is a review in progress until they abandon support for it, because the game's only going to get tweaked and tweaked and tweaked.
It's apparently very buggy, lots of like spawning, doesn't work. It's a weird one because Stalker, for me, it wasn't on our radar at all to play. Like, really, we talked about like this week's live stream, and I was just like, I'm just not interested. Like, it's a survival shooter, and I don't know, from what I've seen about it, there's just nothing that makes me go like, yeah, I want to play that.
I forgot it came out this week.
I didn't really see much marketing for it, which I think goes back to Microsoft. Remember when Hellblade came out? They did like nothing. Yeah. Like, that seems to be the tactic. Just if you got Game Pass, you'll see it. But we're not going to put it on billboards and buses and stuff like that. So, again, the average seems to be around about 7, I'd say, looking at it.
Yeah. 7, potential of 9.
Yeah. But more time in the oven. Speaking of buggy messes at launch, Microsoft also had another game come out this week. It seems to be a trend, Richie. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 came out, and I hate to tell it to you because you'll have to pass this news on to your dad, who I know is a massive Flight Simulator fan. I can't really find any reviews for it because it's that broken. Nobody seems to be putting one out. It launched this past week on... What was the launch? Where was the launch? 19th of November, so it's been out 3 days at the time of recording. And Windows Central is the only like official critic that put something up, and I quote... Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 can't be awarded a score in its current state because there's nothing to evaluate. Constant crashes and cloud streaming bugs followed an awful launch day experience and persisted a full 24 hours since the game's release. Until the developers can patch the game and get it running as intended, there's little reason to fork out the asking price on your own copy on Xbox or PC, and it'll remain a Game Pass oddity for mostly limited to Xbox Cloud Gaming. So by the sounds of it, you need it. It's only playable by cloud gaming, and like if you're playing it natively, it's just broken. You know, kind of like when Cyberpunk was great on Stadia, but it ran like shit on everything else.
Then it shouldn't be out.
It's weird. I think it sounds like it's more just something happened at launch, which is preventing it from working. I don't think it's necessarily inherently the game at its core. I think something maybe when the servers have been switched on or it's gone public, it's shit the bed.
This could be why there's very few critic reviews, because if something's happened with when they've hit go, they might have actually contacted the like the journalists and went, "Look, guys, this has happened. We're fixing it." And then a lot of the journalists might went, "Oh, I'm going to sit in my review for a few weeks." And if they're going, here's a clear issue that wasn't expected, didn't know about it. As soon as we switched on, suddenly there's this issue.
Yeah.
Please don't review us yet.
Yeah, give us a minute.
Which is why there's loads of user scores and on Metacritic and no critic reviews.
Yeah, if you're looking at just some actual like gaming websites, like Games Radar have got up an article that says like Fight Simulator has ironically not got off to a flying start, as its initial Steam rating places it as one of the worst rated games on the storefront after it's temporarily fell even lower than Overwatch 2 and Modern Warfare 2. At the time of writing, only 24% of Flight Simulator's reviews are positive, giving it a mostly negative rating. The devs acknowledged in a tweet pointing to a large amount of server requests caused by the number of players initializing the simulator at the same time. But that wasn't where the problems ended. Reviews on Steam criticised for being a buggy mess and objectively inferior experience to the previous version, with clunky controls, questionable performance, a user interface that would have been acceptable in 2012, amongst other complaints. Needless to say, players are not having a fantastic time. So yeah, it seems to be all over the place. So that's 2 Xbox releases this week that are buggy messes. And it's like, where's the quality control? Right? Like,
yeah,
neither of these games are for us, but I can't help but think a big game launch in this world, Microsoft, Xbox, there's a reason you're struggling in the marketing and the games department, because you keep putting out shit that doesn't work. Remember Redfall?
Yeah.
Was that this year? No.
It's one of the biggest ways of tanking any project is just getting it out before it's ready.
If you mess up launch, that's a very small window. Like, look at Concord. They did it. They shit the bed as well. I've said shit the bed a lot on this week's podcast.
I'm trying to remember from Shigeru Miyamoto.
Is it a broken game is always broken, a great game, something like that?
Yeah, paraphrasing it is like a broken game is always broken. A delayed game could be great.
Unless it's Elden Ring, and it can be game of the year.
So it's just like, don't. I mean, this could be an unfortunate case. Everything was working, everything looked good before, but then it's come out and it's been a broken mess. And then people are piling on because it's been a broken mess. They've noticed things that they didn't like about the UI and in that negative space. But I don't know. It is one of them things. Like, not a good look, Microsoft.
It's not.
You need to get that quality up.
You're spending billions, literally billions, on acquisitions and development and stuff, and you can't, like, why do all the work for many, many years if you're going to stumble at the finishing line? You've literally fell over and landed with your nose within touching distance of the finishing line, and if you're not going to get over the line, you don't win the race. You don't even finish the race. Moving on, though, as we obviously get to the back end of the show, I just wanted to quickly touch on a couple of game topics that came out. One of them, speaking of finishing the race, I mentioned at the top of the show I'd platinumed Lego Horizon, Richie.
You did.
That ran great. Didn't have a problem with that the whole way through. Multiple systems. Believe it or not, though, apparently Concord is no longer Sony's least played game of the year, despite having an established IP. Apparently, Lego Horizon Adventures has managed to underperform Concord, according to Steam numbers. Looking at Steam charts at the time of recording, it only had a 24-hour peak of 217 users, which is actually less than Concord, which had 602.
Could this just be the demographics of Steam at work?
This is it. So I think this is, I'm guessing, a few news outlets are probably going to run with this, like, oh, Sony has another flop on their hand. It's the game's worse than Concord and stuff like that. Whereas actually, I don't think this is skewed towards, like, let's face it.
This is not a PC game.
It's family. It's a kids game, right? For the most part. To give that into some context as well, other Lego titles in the past have also done the same. Lego Brick Tales, about 700. Lego 2K Drive, about 1,000. Lego Ninjago, about 5,000, seems to be their biggest. So I'm not reading too much into this. I had a look on, when I was looking at the Black Friday Amazon sales.
Yeah.
There's like 10,000 plus copies of this were sold in the last week. So
I think, for me, this game has 3 core demographics. 1, kids. 2, Lego fans. And 3, Horizon fans. Horizon fans playing in some PlayStation, realistically.
Mm-hmm.
Lego fans are probably playing with Lego. And
like real Lego,
and kids. How many kids have got gaming PCs?
How many kids are waiting for Christmas?
Yeah, I just don't think...
like, they'll buy it next week, next month.
maybe the sales are lower than they would have hoped, but I wouldn't see this as too much of a problem if I'm PlayStation, because I'm looking at Steam going, we don't really care about selling this game too much there.
Yeah,
This is not it's not the core PC gamers is not the core demographic for Lego games. It's there if you want it.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's no smoke without fire, obviously, but I do think in a weird way PlayStation releasing games on Steam is almost making a rod for their own back. Like, imagine if Concord came out and we didn't have the Steam numbers. Would people have really noticed? Or would we have just been in this silent silo of PlayStation where it's like, yeah, it's out. People, I presume, are playing it, but you have no proof of concept of who how many. And then Steam comes in and goes, oh, there's only 200 people, mate. And then the news articles get a hold of it. The industry kicks off about it. And then it gets shut down. So it'd be curious in a different world where if you didn't have the statistics, there's a reason Xbox don't report their sales numbers anymore.
Yeah, Steam are actually doing some interesting things with actually season passes and DLC. But I'm not going to go into it because I don't have an article to get the details right. But well, yeah, basically Steam are putting a bit of pressure on publishers to be a bit more transparent with their offerings.
They should be. Moving on to some quick news stories at the end of the show. A bit of a long one because of the Game Awards news. Rollercoaster Tycoon Classic coming to Nintendo Switch on the 5th of December, combining both the original Rollercoaster Tycoon and its fantastic sequel, Rollercoaster Tycoon 2, into one package. The Switch version has been given the porting treatment by Atari's partner studio, Graphite Lab. What's more to say about this, Richie? It's the best Rollercoaster Tycoon games of all time. They're now portable on arguably the best portable handheld of all time.
I hope this has got touchscreen, because the Switch does have a touchscreen.
It has to, right?
Yeah, because I could be tempted by this, you know.
It's great. I mean, the Android version is fully touchscreen, and I've played that for years.
This is probably the Android version.
It most likely. It actually says released in 2016 for Android and iOS. Rollercoaster Tycoon Classic was the Origin Technologies made on the back of the original Chris Sawyer model. Yeah, if you've not played Rollercoaster Tycoon, what are you doing with your life? If you like theme parks, who doesn't like theme parks?
Price dependent, I could potentially have an impulse buy and pick this up on my Switch.
Yeah, this is the best.
Could be just one of them games on my Switch I just always install. So if I fancy playing some Rollercoaster, pass me my Switch. Here we go.
Yeah, and the classics are the best. So yeah, highly recommend it. It's the complete package. That's 1 and 2. Rollercoaster Tycoon 3. I think is out on the Switch as well. Yeah. They've kind of gone backwards over. Don't play 4 mobile. Don't play any of the Rollercoaster Tycoon World crap. 1 and 2 are where it's at.
Let us know in the comments if you want us to do a Rollercoaster Tycoon stream.
Oh, that's a good shout. It's been a while.
That could be just been a while. One of us just starts a park and we just make the decisions together.
And we drown people.
Yeah, if you want.
That's what everyone does. It's like the penguin in Mario 64. You have to do it.
But every £1 super chat will drown someone of your choice.
We might. Next up, though, Back 4 Blood 2 is apparently on the way and back on track. A sequel to Turtle Rock's bloody good Back 4 Blood 4. Back 4 Blood, not Back 4 Blood 4. Is seemingly under development, codename Gobi 2. This came from some back-end information, according to Steam. Seemingly, the internal codename is there. There's an online portfolio which basically breaks it down, describes it. More interestingly, the lead performer who's been brought on is the same as the Back 4 Blood original one, so it seems like they're bringing characters back as well. Came out originally in 2021, so it's been a couple of years. It was successful in its own right. It's essentially a spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead. So, yeah, Back 4 Blood 2, Richie, surprised? Or is it about the right cadence? We got a new one?
It feels about right.
Yeah. I enjoyed Left 4 Dead. Never played Back 4 Blood.
You've played Back 4 Blood, you haven't played Left 4 Dead.
I've played Left 4 Dead.
You played Back 4 Blood with me.
Did I?
I think so, yeah. I think we've got a video on the channel.
I can't even remember that. I've definitely played Left 4 Dead, though. I played it around a friend's house for a while.
All right.
So, yeah, we'll probably hear more about that soon enough. What else have we got, Richie? Oh, the surprising news, sorry, we missed last week, and a lot of news outlets missed as well, is Age of Empires 2 is apparently coming to PlayStation 5. There's playtests and stuff have been leaked on Reddit where people are actively playing it with all like the sacred symbols, icons, and menu layouts and interface of a PlayStation 5. And I've not seen anyone really pick up on the article. Like, none of the gaming websites have really missed it. But this is, again, we've got Xbox games on PlayStation now, especially older titles. Age of Empires 2 being the oldest of them all. Obviously, this is the definitive edition, which runs on console. I
have an issue with people referring to this as an Xbox game. This is a PC game.
Yeah, PC. Microsoft game. Sorry, I'll call it a Microsoft game because it was like Microsoft Studios, wasn't it? No surprise. We should actually point out the caveat of Age of Empires 2 was actually on PlayStation 2 back in the day. So this wouldn't be the first time we've seen an Age of Empires game. I remember I bought a mouse for my PS2 back in the day to see if I could get it to run on it, and it was just a whole ordeal because obviously consoles and adaptability, it's a lot better now than it ever has been with interfaces and development tools. But yeah, if you're a big fan of Age of Empires 2, I wouldn't be surprised if we see this at the Game Awards. It seems like these rumors are leading up to it. It's in a playable state. They just need to announce it. This feels like it could be a quick little trailer of maybe an update for Age of Empires 2 with maybe some new content coming. I think they got the Rome pack and the Greek pack dropped earlier this year, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's maybe a third pack lined up in the wings, and surprise, it's also coming to PS5 in January or something, or maybe even out now because the game's clearly done. But yeah, more Age of Empires, win. Moving on to some Game Pass updates for you all as we go along in the tooth of this episode. Really quickly, you've got, if you want to play it, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2 out now on Game Pass. S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 out now on Game Pass. Maybe if you don't want a buggy mess, go play Little Kitty Big Adventure, or Big City, sorry. Play it up.
We can't guarantee it's not a buggy mess.
We can't. More kitty mess. Nine Souls and Alien Dark Descent is out on Cloud PC, Series XS, Game Pass Ultimate PC, all that stuff on November 27th. A couple of games are leaving. Nothing really crazy. Remnant from the Ashes is probably the biggest one. And The Walking Dead, the final season, are about to leave on the 30th of November. So go play those if you haven't yet already checked them out. We can probably skip the Pokemon news. It's doing really well.
Yeah. It's doing really well. There's more content coming.
We're still playing it. Happy days.
$120 million.
Yeah, lots. And we're still opening them booster packs. So got to catch them all.
I might have one to do, actually.
And then the final one of the week, just to round things out, is Minecraft is apparently coming to theme parks in the UK. Mojang Studios has entered a partnership with theme park operator Merlin to create a real-life Minecraft experience across the globe, beginning in the UK and the US. So I'm guessing Merlin Entertainment has parks in... I guess they have Legolands in America, right? You would think, like, Lego is a global brand. I would have thought they've got a few of them. Never been to a Legoland, actually. But while Merlin and Mojang have not shared specific details or dates, they're looking at the experiences to launch in the UK and the US between 2026 and 2027 and include Minecraft-themed accommodation along with food, beverages, and themed rides, amongst other exciting elements. So, Richie, we've seen Super Mario World pick up in Universal parks. Of course, Disney and Universal and other theme parks around the world have had a history of just bringing IP into their parks, whether it was movies in the past, and now it seems to be other things like with Harry Potter World. Yeah, if you, I guess you go to Alton Towers in the UK or you go to Legoland, you're going to see Minecraft in the future, which I can see a Minecraft-style minecart roller coaster. I can see an area of a park being all blocky and textured to look like Minecraft. And you know what? I can see kids absolutely lapping it up.
Yeah, do you think theme parks making a bit of a having a
renaissance?
Renaissance, yeah. Do you think it could be?
I think theme parks, I just think gaming in general is making that next transition. We've seen it happen to movies and TV, and I think theme parks is the next logical step. And what I always love about theme parks, it's the kind of real-life embodiment of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I went to Disney World as a kid, went on the Aerosmith Rock and Roller Coaster, fell in love with Aerosmith the band because I went to a theme park. How many people went to Disney World and went on the Indiana Jones ride? How many people now go to Universal and visit Mario Land or Harry Potter World and then go back and fall in love with the movies because they've never seen them, or play a Mario game for the first time because they went on the Donkey Kong roller coaster? And it's that self-fulfilling prophecy where people then fall in love with the games, so then they want to go back to the park with their family and their kids, and then they fall in love with it, and it just goes in these big cycles where something in the real world that families can do together, I think it's a big sticking point for, I think, people like growing emotions and stuff. There's a reason people love Disney, and it's not just because their movies are classic. it's because they've got these parks around the world that people go to and really, really just cement their memories in a physical, real environment. I can't wait to go to Mario World when I next get around to getting to Florida or Japan or wherever. Because I'm gonna be walking around like a little kid, punching blocks and like listening to all the music and walking through the warp tunnel to get into the park. I'm going to have the biggest dumb grin on my face. Star Wars World. I haven't been fortunate enough to go there yet. But yeah, when I walk into Batuu and there's the restaurant and you can go craft your own... I know Tom's been. Craft your own lightsaber.
Tom's got lightsaber.
Do Rise of the Resistance and fly the Millennium Falcon with a crew of my friends.
They do your own bot now, don't they?
Yeah, you can make your own R2-D2 and stuff like that. And it's like, as a child, I would have loved that. And as an adult, I love it as well. And I'll take my daughter.
Would not have been.
That's my way of getting my daughter into Star Wars.
You need to take your daughter before she's old enough to demand like an R2-D2 or BD-8, BD-1.
She'll be like, Dad, if you're getting one, I'm allowed one as well. But yeah.
When you're in your 30s and you can afford to buy one, you can have one.
Yeah, we shall see. So yeah, I just think video gaming in itself is having like a groundswell of interest where other industries are maybe lacking a little bit in new creative stuff, and that's why they're looking elsewhere for stuff. And yeah, movies are doing it. We've got The Last of Us Season 2's winning awards all over the place. So yeah, I think this is the next logic set. And Minecraft is big enough and it's been around long enough now. I wouldn't be surprised. Remember, Disney made a deal with Epic. I think we see a Fortnite world where someone literally recreates the Fortnite map in a theme park. In the roller coasters, what's the bus that takes you in at the start? The fun bus, whatever it's called.
It's like a school bus.
The battle bus. I can see that where you get on the battle bus and then it's an actual roller coaster that goes round, or it's just got like that Fortnite color palette. I can see Minecraft actually working really, really well.
Yeah,
in a theme park, just make everything
everything blocky.
Yeah, and kids will love it. And yeah, there's maybe a couple of creepers around, and you can imagine a ride where you're in a little cart and it takes you down a cave and there's a skeleton pops out and shoots an arrow at you. You spin around and there's a creeper explodes behind you. Your cart gets blasted into a tunnel, and yeah, you get out and you get your photo taken with a blocky Steve. Like you can even see the characters walking around the park, can you?
Yeah.
Get this DLC into Rollercoaster.
You can see
Tycoon.
Kids running away from a creeper, can you?
Yeah, absolutely. Just walk around. Do you want your picture taken with it? No, he might blow up, ma'am. That's what they do. Anyway, rounding out the show, we've got a great show this week, by the way. Rounding out a super long special edition show. This day in video games, which you always look back, we are recording on Friday, November the 22nd. And what a date in video game history this is. Kick us off, Richie. What have we got?
Well, kicking us off, 30 years ago, the Sega Saturn.
Ooh, 30.
Sticking with the console theme, 19 years ago, the Xbox 360, and 11 years ago, the Xbox One.
Ooh, bit of a sour one on that.
Yeah.
So November 22nd, great date for console releases.
Indeed.
The Saturn, the 360.
But there's just some bangers in here.
What games we got? Red Alert. Yes, my boy. Command & Conquer. I always used to call it Command & Conquer Rare for some reason.
Like, yeah, I did as well.
I used to play it for years without even realising.
Red Dead Redemption, Undead Nightmare.
Oh, that Red Dead 2 should have had a Undead Nightmare 2. Like, that would be such good content.
Legend of Zelda, A Link Between Worlds. This is a special edition for 3DS. Nice.
Didn't you buy a Zelda Switch recently?
No, my girlfriend did.
Girlfriend bought it, right? Okay.
Yeah, she's got the Tears of the Kingdom Switch.
Nice.
I'm jealous because it's a Switch OLED.
Just swap it.
Yeah. Super Mario 3D World. There's just an absolute bangers on the 22nd.
Because of the Xbox One as well, we also got Rise Son of Rome. Shout out to that missing lost franchise that Xbox seemingly would rather work on other games.
Yeah, moving on to the 23rd. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, 26 years ago.
Ooh, does that make you feel old?
Yes, it does. I remember buying that.
And let's not remember 14 years ago, the Michael Jackson Experience on DS, PSP, and the Wii. That was pretty sweet.
Turok Rage was 25 years ago.
I'll take it.
You talk about arena shooters and things like Concord. Turok Rage was doing it back in the day.
Yeah, there's a lot.
World of Warcraft 20 years ago.
Oh.
So 20 years ago on the 23rd November, World of Warcraft changed the world base of gaming.
I've got a good one for you on the 24th as well.
I'll go for it. Yeah, I saw that as well.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Sonic 2.
32 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Donkey Kong 64. Simpsons Road Rage 23 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. And that brings us to an end. We could keep going on, but
we could keep going on.
The show's already long enough. Let's wrap it up. But that's been it, everybody, for episode 67/438 of the GamerGuild Podcast, your weekly show where we get together and round up all the weekly video game news. And sometimes we go very, very long because the Game Awards have a lot of categories. Too many categories, some would say. And we'll get together in 2 weeks' time to watch along live to Jeff Keighley and all his magic and all the controversy around why DLC is apparently in Game of the Year. But, Richie, thank you very much for jumping in, joining us, talking about all video games. Thank you very much to everyone who's watched along out there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell so you keep in the loop with all the great content. Don't forget to check out all of said great content. Don't just like it, actually go watch it. We've got Indiana Jones live streams up there. We've got whatever's happening this week, maybe some Rollercoaster Tycoon soon. Who knows? An unboxing if you want to check out the 30th anniversary PlayStation stuff. And there's plenty of stuff to keep you busy over the weeks ahead. Richie, that's been it. My name's been Chris.
Yes. And I've been Richie.
This has been nearly a 2-hour-long special Game Awards show. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. And remember, play whatever makes you the happiest. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.